Welcome, guys.
What's up?
Welcome to the Self-Evident Podcast.
What's up?
What's up? It's Sunday night, 7 p.m.
One of those things.
It's one of those things.
It's one of them things.
It's one of those days we come to you with news and topics and teaching you stuff. So we are here. You are here. We're all ready to go. Richard, you ready to go? The man's ready to go. It's game on.
Hey, it's game on. Guys, comment where you're from. Share this video right now. We got a lot of cool stuff happening nationally right now, especially with Self-Evident. But go ahead and share this video. Share it with your friends. Get everybody involved as much as possible because guess what? There's so much to talk about, so much to do.
Is.
And a lot of action to take. So go for it, buddy.
Yes. Do not forget to check out our social media. Done? Yeah. Yes. The stereotypical social media plug. We're going to do it. So YouTube. Get on the YouTube. YouTube. And make sure to comment. Make your comments. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to share. Click notification. Excuse me, I had to swallow. We also are on SoundCloud. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on Rumble. We're on BitChute. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on the moon. We're on Earth. We're here. We're there. We're everywhere. So check us out. Share us. Guys, one of the most beautiful things about sharing us is it means you put the responsibility on us to teach that topic.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about it.
That's exactly right. Just share it.
Just share it. Somebody goes, I don't like that. You say, talk to them. We'll talk.
Hey, comment, say hi. If you guys have any negative things that you want to talk to us about, great. Put it down there. We'll answer it.
But if you got positive,
if you got positive too, go for it. Guys, we just, there's a lot going on, and I know you want to kind of, I want you to really direct. Now, today's podcast was advertised, me and Carrie. Carrie got really sick last week, about midweek, and she didn't even finish out the tour with me. I was out of town. I was in Michigan and Ohio, and she couldn't even finish out the tour. So she pretty much stayed in the hotel room for like 3 days straight. And she's still kind of feeling under the weather, so she's not going to be with us tonight. And I apologize. She apologizes profusely because she kills it every time she comes on. She does so well.
Yep.
So I said,
you're stuck with BT.
I was going to say, we settled with him.
Sorry.
No, dude, are you crazy?
Bad.
No, man, dude, he went out touring again last week, first time this year, and he just killed it. So we're really excited to talk about all that. There's more.
Yeah, we'll tell you more.
Share, folks. Like the video, share it, and let's get rocking.
Let's do a 5-second share off. Right? Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have not shared it yet, there are kitties that are losing food because of you.
Don't forget, too, we're on YouTube, all that stuff. I mean, we're everywhere, so go
Anyways,
for it, guys.
Now that we've done all the promotion, all of that, are you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right, news bits.
Let's move it.
All right, so let's go to slide number 1.
Let's do it.
Oh, no, that's not slide number 1. Richard, not slide number 1. No, where's the BLM one?
The co-founder. Oh, heavens.
Somebody told us there was duplicates. It's all right. If he comes up with it, he comes up with it. That's okay. So the BLM co-founder, she cashed in.
Baby.
Money.
She done cashed in.
She cashed in.
What did she do now? What she okay.
We'll discuss this.
Yeah. Here's what's crazy is that this is the socialism plot. This happens all the time. At least with free markets, we know, hey, rich get richer. Go out there and kick butt, right? Free markets. So you get rich on your own demise, on your own demise, on your own efforts.
I mean,
whereas with right, yeah, I guess. But I mean, with socialism, they force you to make everybody equal. Here, you can be equal because if you bust your butt, you can. Now, there's obviously cronyism. There's obviously a lot of things like hatred, keeping people down, pride, all that stuff that happens. But the free market system was created for that reason. Yeah. But socialists do this all the time. It's the 1%. They're crazy. They're such bad people, and they're all rich and all those other things. And now what happens with
and we'll describe in a second what happened with her, but if the funniest thing, you and I were talking about this, is I don't begrudge her. It's kind of like, do whatever you want, man. You're making money. The only problem is you rail against other people that make money. It's like, just make money. Do what you need to do.
And honestly, like, she made a ton of cash. She's buying some properties, right? You know what they're going to do in the media? They're probably going to say, but she bought those to help the poor and the homeless. Watch, and it'll be for a photo op or something, right? Who knows, right? But hey, she made money. If people are foolish enough to give that socialist group money, it's on them. So she made money.
So her name is Patrisse Cullors. She's doing it, guys. She is making waves. She's being successful. She is being an entrepreneur. Last year, she signed a multi-year and wide-ranging deal with Warner Brothers.
For what?
For what, we may ask? She'll develop and produce original programming across broadcast, cable, and streaming platforms. I'm sorry, but it's probably not going to be original because no programming has been original for the past 10 years.
She will quote Marx, Nietzsche, all them guys.
Everything's racist.
Because she's trained, yeah.
But she'll make money.
Everybody's racist. Everybody hates them. Everybody keeps people down. We've already talked about this 100 times. I don't believe in that. I do believe that people hate each other, and I do believe in pride. But bottom line is government's done more to oppress people than racism has.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. So it seems in celebration colors, the Marxists bought a home for $1.4 million in an area with a 0.4% black population. Comrade Colors, we salute you. We want you to know, great
Comrade!
for you. Comrade Colors.
This is how easy deception is. And it's so crazy because now we're looking at Biden talking about court stacking and all these other things where he condemned that. The whole left condemned that when Trump was electing officials. And this is what happens. It's all hypocrisy. It's all based on hypocrisy. Left, right, all the same thing to me. This is what we're seeing nationally right now is, hey, we're going to cash in on our, because you know what she's thinking? Well, if they can have it, I can have it too.
Yep.
What about the people under you, though? What are they doing? All those people that you had come out and volunteer and protest, what are they doing?
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, shall we? So this is one of 3 homes, okay? And she was looking at property in the Bahamas in some ultra-exclusive resorts where Justin Timberlake and Tiger Woods had places. This is priced between $5 and $20 million. The Daily Report, sorry, we're having some camera stuff. The Daily Signal reports that an estimated $90 million BLM took in 2020. Michael Brown Sr., father of Michael Brown Jr., who got shot in Ferguson, he's received about $500. $500 from BLM. Good for you, BLM. Also, BLM says it committed $21.7 million grant funding, but it ended 2020 with a positive balance of $60 million. Their expenses were about $8.4 million. My question is, what you gonna do with the $60 million?
Yeah, what are they doing?
What you doing? Where's this money going? You're Marxist, so you need to provide this
distribute
to
the
needs.
poor.
Yes.
Why aren't you down in Beverly Hills and on Hollywood and Rodeo Drive where all those tents are, and going on handing out some cash, because there's a lot of people there that are probably black or whatever. They're veterans. I'm sure that there's more veterans that are homeless, right? What about those guys? Why aren't we giving to that money to those guys? Oh, is it because agendas? Yes. It's the same thing with Bill Gates. A lot of these guys, they're just agenda driven. They have a ton of money to push agendas. These guys keep talking about Bill Gates. I just saw him on a TED Talk. I don't know if it was a TED Talk or something. And it wasn't the one that everybody quotes. It was just something more recent where he said, with vaccinations and with more care, what do they call it? Pre-birth care, like Planned Parenthoods, we could reduce our population to 10, 15%. And I know what he was trying to say, but you're basically airing out your dirty laundry. What he's saying is there's just a lot of unwanted pregnancies out there. A lot of people just getting pregnant for no reason. We could drop this because our population worldwide is going to be pushing 9 billion. We need to stop this, type of thing. And it's like, why not? Who are you to tell people to stop having kids? And you want people to stop having kids? Teach them the law of God.
Oh, wait. Sex after marriage, not before? Massey, that's not possible.
Oh, yeah,
People can't do that.
Yeah, this whole theory about I got to test the cow before I buy it. Yeah, probably not. Not the things of God. The bottom line is he said, trust me for the cow. That's what he's saying. I know that's kind of graphic. I probably
really bad image.
Hey, sorry. It just is what it is. So
you're right.
Andrew Goering just said it's a wonder that she can sustain all that because she's got so much money.
Yeah.
This whole organization. And Andrew just said they want global population control as if they are God. Truth. And it's funny because it's like, when did man start becoming Thanos?
Yeah. Determining who can and who can't.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Excessive world population. I keep thinking about this and people are like, oh my gosh, our world is getting overpopulated. It's like, there's so much of Asia we haven't tapped into. There's so much of Iowa, we haven't tapped into Missouri.
Do you remember the population crisis that we had? I don't know what it was. Maybe 20 years ago, they were bringing up how we're about to be
the bull.
overpopulated.
Everybody's commenting the cow. Sorry, it's live. I don't do everything right, you know. I'm close to perfect. No, I'm not. Sorry.
But do you remember the population, the crisis? It was probably like 15, 20 years ago when we're all going to be overpopulated. And now suddenly nobody talks about that. Mind you, the West especially, many of the countries in the West are under replacement rates in terms of birth.
Dude.
Yeah. So we're causing our own civilization extinction.
Yeah. Isn't it the same kind of Hail Marys that they throw out there with like the AOCs when she's like, oh, the world's going to end in 12 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the same, you know.
You can't prove it.
If the conservatives said that, conspiracy theorists, they don't know what they're talking about. And these guys are like, oh my gosh, if we don't put on masks, millions and millions of people are going to die. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen? And it's like, now, I'm not the one walking around with a mask, and I'm the conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
I'm the one not wanting a vaccine, and I'm the conspiracy theorist. When you're literally wearing a mask in your car. There was a woman that we were driving to the restaurant today, and a woman she was like 2-3 car lengths behind. She would never go all the way up when she stopped at a stoplight. I'm like, what's she think? Kobe going to come through the car or something? You know what I mean? Like,
probably.
It's crazy, you know?
I've got stories, but I won't tell them.
Yeah.
I want to, but it's like, I won't air it publicly. Should I? Should I not?
Should
I not?
Guys, continue to share the video because we've got a lot to chat about. Now,
yes, we do.
This information that we're giving you is something that's known, but why we do these things, because he works really hard on the Newsbit stuff, but there's just so much biblically that we need to handle that nobody really talks about. That's why we're doing this.
And we like to draw, how do I want to say this? We like to give you what's going on in the world and help shape, the Christian view of it, the conservative view of it, the foundational constitutional view of it. You know, we want to help flesh that out. So when you're thinking about these things, and we want you to look into this stuff, we want you to form your own opinion, but hey, this is our opinion and this is how we view these things. And we think, hey, we're right once in a while.
Well, there's definitely more too, because like this woman is cashing in on a thing called socialism, which is antithetical to our Constitution.
Yeah.
But isn't it ironic that they're pushing socialism under the Constitution? Hear what I'm saying? They're using the liberties of the Constitution to push a different government, a different thought process, a different ideology, I should say, not government, but ideology, all those things. Notice how they're using the First Amendment, a God-given right, to push something completely antithetical to its own law.
Yeah,
that's just like a pimp saying that it's okay to have women, that I can just go let it be abused and things like that. Because guess what? God gave me freedom.
Yeah,
God gave me free will,
and that's the most dangerous part of
that is dangerous.
And liberty.
Yes,
you know, when we profess liberty, basically what we're saying is we're open season. And socialism, Marxism, communism, it uses those liberties to its advantage. And even Islam does that.
Yeah, same thing, dude. These BLM people, listen to us, guys. I don't care what side of the fence you're on this, because I love talking either side. But hear me out. If they're willing to silence one side, eventually when they get their way, they will silence you too.
Yep.
Because if you're not under their regime, they will force you to be under their regime. Let me ask you this. If it's such a good idea, why do they need to force it?
Yep. Communists, especially in the West, have a slogan that liberals get the bullet too, right? So if you're not far enough left, you'll get the bullet too. So
which is what you're seeing now with the more progressives. They don't like they remember when Nancy Pelosi was in a fight with AOC and them guys. They're already turning on each other, dude.
They are, because there will always be those people who feel you need to go farther and farther, right? So let's go to slide number 2, the Denmark one. There we go. We're back on track. AstraZeneca and Johnson & Johnson. So this is where the podcast will probably be shut down on Facebook and YouTube. Just be aware.
Let's do it.
They were on pause or banned in various countries. Now, we are not saying this in order to start some crazy wild chaos and stampede. But what we wanted to do was just kind of show what's going on with the vaccines. Okay. AstraZeneca has been banned in Denmark. The total is now 18 countries which have actually banned the vaccine, paused or suspended the use of it. And both the AstraZeneca and the Johnson & Johnson, and actually the Russian Sputnik 5, these vaccines are built off what's the adenovirus. And there's thoughts that this may be causing a rare blood clotting side effect in the brain. It's very rare. It happens about 36 people in Europe. There's been a couple of cases in the US. The big thing is they're pausing. And one of the things that we need to point out on this is this isn't FDA approved. None of these vaccines are truly FDA approved. They're under emergency use of authorization, which means that you don't have to go through the full gamut of testing, because this is basically the testing trial period. So what's going to happen is, because they wanted to push it out so quick, they got it out, which they felt they needed to. They got it out, and now you are actually the test population for it. They did testing and trials and all that before they put it out on the public, but emergency use of authorization means that it's not fully FDA approved. They haven't hit that point where the FDA says, yes, this is safe. So you're going to have stuff like this show up. That's just giving you a heads up. Whether or not you feel it's important to take that vaccine is up to you. We're not going to tell you don't do it. We're not going to tell you you must do it. You need to make a decision for you. That's why we talk about liberty. That's why we talk about having your own individual right on whether or not to put this substance that is not FDA approved into your body.
Yeah.
That's up to you.
You know what's funny? I just looked up this thing while I'm sorry that I was kind of out of it. I was letting you talk, but and that's that. I was letting you. I don't let him do anything. He does it all himself. March 4th, Catholics shouldn't have to worry about the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. That was Dr. Fauci. He was talking about stem cells, but then in the same breath, he was like, I would take any vaccine available right now. It should be safe. Everything's good. Now he's saying, no, we got to be careful with the vaccines that are coming out right now. Do you see what's going on? They are such flip-floppers, and that proves follow the science. Believe the science. This dude doesn't even know what he's doing. I literally have it right now. It was on the NewJersey.com. It says Catholics shouldn't have to worry about the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine, March 4th, 2021. Right? And it was it's funny because like this dude will say things like, we're going to lose 2 to 3 million people because of COVID. Do you remember that when it came out in January last year?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, we didn't even have a vaccine or anything. Right? And the only reason we lost 200,000 at that time was because we all took safe measures. Or you freaked everybody out for no reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they're actually concerned about this because basically what they've said is, okay, if you take the vaccine and you start having headaches or stomach aches, you should go to the emergency room. Well, now we're back to people filing into the emergency room because they're scared because they've been told through the news, hold. Those symptoms that you're having that could amount to anything, you need to rush into the emergency room. Remember, one of the reasons that the emergency rooms were so full was because people got scared when they felt crappy or they had a little cough or something like that. And I'm not diminishing COVID.
No,
but somebody goes,
but let's get real.
They go, I need to go to the emergency room because I'm going to die if I don't go.
Yeah. And how many tests did Elon Musk take? And they were all false positives.
He had two positives, two false,
right? All these tests that people are saying all these people have tested positive. How many tests did they run? Was that the first test? Was it really COVID? Right? The second thing, when they're in emergency rooms, they start putting them on ventilators, realizing ventilators were creating more of the problem.
They found out that was an issue.
So follow the science, they say. I can't trust you with a ventilator.
I can't follow the science because the science is going
and it's not the nurses we're against. We're not against the nurses or the doctors. They're only doing what they're told to do. Right? But you're telling me to follow science. You don't even know what science you're following. It's not even science. It's an agenda.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
And that's a perfect segue to get into our next news bit because this really relates.
Can I make one more point before we get into that? Just because you don't get side effects from a vaccine does not mean it's safe. It just means that your immune system's good and that it's fighting it off and it's rejecting everything in there. That doesn't mean that the vaccine is safe and it's effective. It doesn't mean anything.
And that's one conversation that I've had with people is I'm concerned about long-term effects. Obviously, okay, because it hasn't been tested. The other part of it is I'm healthy. And what they're finding are these blood clots are happening actually in younger people. but I'm healthy. And the statistics bear it out that young and healthy, it's not an issue for you. And I was reading some stats today that said there's a big difference in between Republicans and Democrats, what they view as the percentage of people being hospitalized by COVID. There's a lot of people who believe 50% of people are hospitalized by COVID. No, the number is actually between like 1% and 4%.
Wow.
So remember, 1 to 4% of people who catch COVID are the ones who are hospitalized. We need to put this in perspective.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid to say this either, that when a 90-year-old person died of COVID, or it could be because they were 90.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
At one point, they were running, it was life expectancy, and then average age of COVID death was like 2 years higher than life expectancy. And it's a sad state of affairs that those people pass that way, but it's kind of like, it is what it is. Pretty much a wind could blow them over at that point, you know? Sorry, callous.
No.
And do not forget, before we get into this, do not forget, number one indicator or correlation of death by COVID, age. Number 2, obesity. Look it up. Look it up.
Folks, I got the COVID. And
He survived because he's young.
And it was probably because of obesity, I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Ironically, remember when I got it? It was after protesting the mask mandates. And I would do it all over again.
Oh, dude, that's progressive fodder right there. So let's go to slide number 3, because Veritas does it again. And you'll understand the segue on this part. So you would think CNN and media would just stop talking ever. They just stop now. Like, stop going in public.
Yeah,
CNN. I'm talking to you, CNN.
This is crazy.
Stop going in public, because more than likely, once you get a couple beers in you, you're going to spill the beans.
Bro.
If I were Zucker, I would put out a note and say, that's it. All you are locked down in the office 24/7. Just live here. Get your beds. You're monks now. We're done because you guys keep spilling all of our secrets.
No kidding.
But some progressive douchebag in a bar. Sorry. With most likely good-looking Tinder date. Literally, they met on Tinder. A few beers, he'll vomit secrets all over the place. He did it. He did. He was trying to, look impressive. If you haven't seen this video, you really need to, because just the brazen attitude of these people. So he was talking about Trump versus Biden. And Massey, you want to do a little role play with me?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so I'll read the. You want to be the CNN guy?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, I'll be Veritas. So your part's the first one, and then page 2, I'll jump in. So
let's do it. Which one is it?
So in talking about Trump versus Biden, see it at the bottom of page 1.
Yep.
So you'll read that, and then I'll jump in. Trump's hand was shaking.
Oh, here it is. Sorry. We
didn't practice this.
Well, no, we didn't. And when I get these notes, he's got them so well up, but there's like 100 other things that's on here. It's like, oh, good. Here we go. So it says Trump's hand was shaking or whatever. I think we brought so many medical people here to tell a story that was all speculation, that he was neurologically damaged and that he was losing it. He's unfit to, whatever. We're creating a story there that we didn't know anything about. That's what I think I think that's propaganda, he said, adding, we would always show shots of him, Biden, referring to Biden, jogging, and that he's healthy, and that him in the aviator shades, like you paint him as a young geriatric.
I guess I have a confession. I worry about Biden and his health, I guess.
Yeah. Your news health?
What? No, I said Biden, our president.
Oh, his health.
I want to take care of him, make sure he's okay.
He is definitely. The whole thing of him running during the entire run for the campaign, showing him jogging is obviously a deflection of his age, and their CNN is trying to make it like, oh, I'm healthy.
Is that what we did? I don't know. Like, what do you mean?
We would always show shots of him jogging and that he's healthy, and he had aviator shades on. Like, you paint him as a young geriatric.
So Chester went on to say that COVID-19 media coverage, back in COVID-19, should be coming to an end in the near future. Funny. He added that CNN is already preparing its shift in coverage to push and promote climate change fear. Chester?
Yeah, Chester. He said he done said this. Yeah, it's going to be our focus, our CNN's focus. Like our focus was to get Trump out of office, right? Without saying it, that's what it was, right? So our next thing is going to be climate change awareness.
What does that look like?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I have a feeling that it's going to be like constantly showing videos of decline in ice, which is false and bull, and weather warming up and like the effects it's having on the economy.
Who decides that?
The head of the network.
Who is that? Is that Zucker?
Zucker, yeah. I imagine that he's got his council and they're all like discussed and what they think.
So that's like the next
pandemic, like story that will beat to death, but one, it's got that longevity. You know what I mean? Like there's a definitive ending to the pandemic. It'll taper off at a point and not be a problem anymore, but climate change can take years. So they, our network will push it and be able to milk that quite a bit.
So climate change overload.
Be prepared. It's coming. Climate change is going to be the next COVID thing for CNN.
You think it's going to be just like a lot of like fear for our climate?
Yeah. Fear sells.
So seen.
And you know what? If it bleeds, it leads. That's the whole line. If it bleeds, it leads. The more that they can lead people through fear, that's how they're going to dominate. And guys, this is why scripture is so important.
Mm-hmm.
When he says 365 times, fear not, that doesn't mean so you won't fear, because we do fear sometimes, that you're not supposed to fear, that whatever the world says is antithetical to what God is saying.
And the beautiful part of that is when you determine, I'm not going to fear, I'm going to keep my eyes on the Lord. So immediately what comes to mind is Peter walking across the water, looking at Christ. As soon as Peter's eyes get off Christ and on the waves, he starts to sink, right? And this story gets used a lot of times, but the idea is if you're going to keep your eyes on fear, you're not keeping your eyes on the Lord. And you're going to get swayed to and fro by all of this news that's coming at you. Notice Chester outright said, yeah, we're gonna cap the whole COVID thing. We're kind of done with that.
Yeah, it's already losing its luster. More and more people are shucking off the masks.
Yeah, it more and more.
Where were we? So perfect segue into the tours, right?
Yeah.
So like we know COVID's going to taper off, and here's why. We went to Ohio. I was all over the place there. No masks. Nobody said anything to me.
Yeah.
I'm coming in as an outsider from Florida, like, and I was flat out telling people, I'm like, I don't even think about your masks, man, because I live in a state where we don't do that, and our rates are down right now. We're actually doing well. So is Texas. Texas is doing pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, and they're like, every worker was like, dude, I wish I could do that. I wish, and it's their policy that they all have to do that. Right. We go to Michigan. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is crazy. There's only one place that enforced it. And they wouldn't let me stay, and Carrie was sick. So I did it in the hotel that we stayed at in Michigan. They were like, sir, you have to put it on. You got to put it over your nose. And I'm like, so if I don't put it over my nose, I'm exposing you to COVID. Like, just think with me. She goes, and I'm very cautious with like workers because they're just following orders.
Doing their job.
Yeah. And especially if they're not jerks about it. If they're being nice about it, like, hey, sir, look, I'm just trying to do my job. I understand. I'm not trying to push you, but I got to fill you with some facts. So as I'm filling out my paperwork, I'm filling them with facts. Like, have you guys thought about this? You know, all these other things. Carrie doesn't go in with her mask, you know, but she's feeling crappy anyway. So like, that was the only time I was forced to wear it. I would say forced. And it was just because I needed to get her into a room. She needed to sleep. She was pretty sick. So that was it. We went up to Northern Michigan. Mm-hmm. I walked around without it. Like, I didn't care. I mean, I'm not doing that to thumb people. I'm just doing it because it's like, I'm free. I don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Was it you or somebody else that was telling me that? No. It was one of my bosses was telling me that he was in Publix recently. And you know how Publix was super
they had the lines
down. Yeah,
they had the lines and everything.
They were the Gestapo when it came to masks and all that. And he said he was in Publix and he's noticed people weren't wearing masks.
Yeah, thank God.
He noticed a handful of people.
More and more now. Yeah, and now PSL
people are burned out.
Yeah,
man.
People, you know, PSL just lifted their restrictions. You know, all that stuff. Eventually, it's going to happen where it's like, okay, we just got to be back to normal. Look at all these people without their masks. They're not sick. They're fine. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's going to wear off because you can only tell people lie long enough and loud enough. Where eventually, all of a sudden, it's like you can't lie to the people all the time. Like they're going to start eventually going, dude, this is ridiculous.
We're done.
Yeah, and a lot of people are getting the vaccine, so they think that's what's keeping them safe. Totally fine. Do your thing. A healthy immune system works too, right? So I'm not thumbing you if you wear a mask. Good for you. Do it. That's your prerogative,
totally
your choice.
you.
And you know what? I'll stay 6 feet away from you if you want me to. All that stuff. If I'm in a closet with you or in a closet, If I'm in an elevator with you, I was thinking elevator closet. What is wrong with me today? Cows and closets, right? If I'm in an elevator with you and you get really uncomfortable, not my fault. It is what it is. I'm going to do what I do, right? But I'm not affecting anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we got to be.
One last nugget before we get, because today we wanted to just kind of talk about the tour and how things went. But one last nugget. So I read this an hour before I got here for the podcast. Oregon, whatever you want to call it, their OSHA is looking to place a permanent mask rule until they deem it's okay to repeal it. OSHA
has no authority.
Notice OSHA does not legislate. They are not allowed to make law, yet OSHA is talking about, well, we're going to make a mask mandate permanent. That's when you get runaway government.
That's right.
And the OSHA office got flooded with complaints. I don't think people in Oregon are really going to.
They're not going to take it. Yeah, and they'll rebel.
But watch for that type of stuff.
Yeah. You know? So this is a perfect segue. We went out touring this week. You went out before I did. You ended up in Ohio at the first. Him and Richard, the producer. What is his name? Alexi tour with Mike, and they did good talking socialism.
We spread socialism for all comrades.
Yeah. So they went to Ohio, and you can explain what happened, dude. I mean, you guys killed it, dude.
So Ohio was really good, and if you're listening, you're from Ohio, and you came
give us a shout out, yo.
Give us a shout out. It's so good to see you guys. Several of you came up. Talked about how you still watch the podcast, which, man, it still blows my mind. You actually still watch this.
That's
stuff.
So cool, yeah.
But so we did a couple of different events. We did a event in Medina. Richard always gets it right. I always get it wrong because he's smart and he listens. I don't. But that event was really good. I taught about the 1619 Project and the truth and the myths about slavery and the founding of America, and which I have not forgotten that I need to send the slides to the mailing list. Don't worry, guys. I'll get it out to you. And then
first shout out to Lisa Woods.
Yes, Lisa,
you are amazing.
Lisa and her family are amazing people. If you are in that area of Ohio,
McFan,
and the McFan group, Lisa Woods, absolutely amazing woman. Just dynamite. I
huge
cannot
heart.
say enough about how much I value friendship with her.
Yeah, and having the some of the sicknesses and the things that are happening in her family, she's still going out and
100%.
I know she's just killing it. Like no excuse. This woman has no excuse to stop. And I just love people like that. She's a fighter. She's a doer.
Yep.
She's amazing, man. Lisa, we honor you and we love you. And we thank you so much for supporting us.
Absolutely. And then Richard and I moved on to Emmaus Church. Out in Greenville, Ohio, and Pastor John Glenn and his family, dynamite people. Richard and I just absolutely had a blessing of a time there. I taught the Sunday school. I taught about socialism and Marxism. And guys, Massey and I have talked, and we're going to do like a 10-minute educational, more produced segment about who Marx was, because I know I've talked about him and I've taught, but we want to condense this into real information.
We probably will put this in a video form for people to download for free. I don't really care about, because this information is so relevant today that we really need to teach it. And I think we do it in a different way, I think, than some. But I think it's good.
Yeah. So the church went really well. I did the main service. I did actually Massey's foundational presentation, and the
knocked it out of the park.
The beautiful thing is I love being able to just connect and minister to people, and got to actually minister to Pastor John a little bit. Not that he needs it. I mean, man, I'm standing in the shadow of a giant right there, literally and figuratively. He's like 6'5", dude.
Brandon Livingston was just on Threewitz's son-in-law.
Yep, he was there too. Brandon came out. Brandon, it was so good to see you, man. So good to see you.
That's cool, dude.
He's still 2 years. After 2 years, still watches the podcast, still loves it.
I love that. That's it is cool, isn't it?
Oh man, it warms my heart. So
you gonna cry?
Yeah. So got to interact with people, got to hang out, got to minister, got to teach, and then I'm gonna pass it off to my buddy Massey because they came into town.
Yeah.
Richard had to fly back to work.
Yeah, so we came into town on Monday. and we had one event. I did a church in Ohio in Canal Winchester, and it was Peace Lutheran, but it wasn't a church service. It was a patriot group that meets there, and we did a class called "It Takes One Person" or "The Majority Is You," is what I finally named it. And I go through all these scenarios of what one person can do and how God never used a majority to win his battles, and that, we can all do something. So I kind of went through a little bit of a history of America. Then I go into what one person did: William Wilberforce, Vernon Johns, Muhlenberg. A lot of these guys told my story. And I think what people need, and what the number one response I get almost out of every event is, I have hope again. I have hope again. And that, if what is it? What does it say? I'm thinking of scripture. It brings patience, experience hope. What's the first part? Hope needed not being ashamed. So like, there's when you have patience, when you have the fruits of the Spirit, when you have righteousness, I have hope now that God is fighting for me and with me. Like, if God wanted us done, he would have had us done already, but he's not. And so we talked about that. Next morning, we went off to the school.
Yeah.
Really small school, but that pastor was so cool, man.
He was a good guy.
So it was a Christian school, and I do those quite often, and it's cool. But the kids, because of COVID, the attendance was down. It was a Christian school, and so we got to. It was a small school, but we got to minister so much to the teachers, to the pastor. Pastor was very prophetic, very spiritual, very in the spirit, very in the know, very, very awesome. It gave us courage, gave us hope. How he's standing, he's praying for revival in his little town. And I believe it. We prayed with him for that. We're believing with him for that. So, I mean, there's so many cool places. And then comes Tuesday night, where this was the first time I ever went to go see Mike speak. So he's gone to speak, and I've never been with him. And because he's been with me before, but now he's doing it on his own. And I love being a fly on the wall. And I'd been to this group 2-3 times. So and they're amazing. They're great. And I have different messages every time I go. Awesome people. Right. But Mike goes over there and does this whole Marxism, cultural Marxism itself, and just knocked it out of the park. And you can explain the rest, dude, but it was so well done, dude. And I'm proud of you, man. Yeah,
Thank
for sure.
you. That group was great. They're nestled in right along the border of West Virginia and Ohio, kind of in that area in the hills and everything, and very small town. Maybe 3,000 people, something
very
like that.
Small.
Very small town,
but active.
Very active. And the cool thing was, like, very just humble, down to earth folk. I love it. And I'm lifting them up with that description, is because so often, especially in when you get like conservative groups, you get action groups, you get people that sometimes they're kind of hoity on the whole. They just want to push and push and push and push. And these people are just super humble and down to earth, but they love the Lord, man. That was the most beautiful part, was they absolutely love the Lord. And the cool thing was, what we didn't realize was there were a large number of people there who had been there for the first time, which pressure's kind of on, like, oh, I mean, I'm not just representing self-evident, right. I'm representing this
dude,
tea party here,
and we have donors that are there, like people that support us and stuff. So I was like, this is a good way for Mike to really just let loose. And the message not only came up, but how you preached, use the word of God, and talking about Jesus Christ and salvation and all those things. And then this young man, he's 42, something like that, got up and spoke at the end. He wasn't supposed to. He just said, look, don't lose hope. Our youth are getting it. And it was just one of those segues for us. That's something we talk about constantly, but to hear it from someone else so young, I think energized the room. And it's not an energy that I'm saying like, oh my gosh, we're energetic. It's a Holy Spirit move. It's like God is planting seed in these people that there is hope, and that we still have a fight, and that it's worth the fight. And so, dude, it just rocked. Oh, it was so fun.
It was a fun time. And to add on to that, a lot of you who are older, you'll probably look a lot at the younger generation. You say they're hopeless. They're just, part of that's the media that's telling you that. The other part of it is you're not seeing the transformation that is happening in young people, because guess what? When it's darkest, it's easiest to see the light. Think about that. Think about it. When everything is dark around you and it's all dead, you can't help but see and be attracted to the light. And I think we're seeing and witnessing a younger generation who's really moving forward because they're realizing everything that's been sold to me is just fake. It's just crap. It doesn't fill.
And it's a consistent narrative. Look, we have another Ohioan, Leah is her name. She said, Ohioan here, just found you guys, loving everything so far, live free or die.
Boom.
That right there energizes me even more because this is not about politics.
Yeah.
This is about liberty and freedom that God gave me. So I have to be a steward. Why is it we can be stewards of our money, but not stewards of our liberty? That's the biggest question we need to ask ourselves, right? So when you were done with that event, we were out there for a long time at night. It was late night. You had to leave in the morning. So I had to do a school and another group at the end of the week up in the UP. So, or not in the UP. That's not the UP. It's out Port Huron is the Canadian border, really. And so we did a school that morning that I'd done before. And it's one of those things where you're just preaching and you're going, Lord, what is going on? What is going on? And so in that area, they have to wear masks. So I wasn't trying to be defiant, Tim, Miss Lisa. I was not trying to be defiant, Renee. Please forgive me. But like, I had them all pull down their masks and smile at each other and like smile at me just to bring some joy in the room.
Important
because it's like, dude, they were just depressed. It seemed like, And but dude, what a great school! Just again, I was there a couple of years ago. I got some really good responses from there, and was able to preach the gospel to these kids because you don't know who's saved and who's not. So a lot of these kids have never thought about sin, they never thought about redemption, never thought about sanctification, none of that stuff. So we were able to preach, got to really engage the teachers, and it's cool to see how teachers can. Like when they know the answers, their kids look back and go, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So they can just develop more of a relationship with the teachers. That's what we want is unity and cohesiveness. So, and I'm not saying tolerance, I'm saying cohesiveness. What I'm saying is the umbrella of Christ. And so then that night, Shane Hernandez, he was a former state rep. He and Tim Keller put on an event for us. And so Tim Keller, I'll tell you about him real quick. I did a public school that he invited me to 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, something like that. I did on Constitution Day. I went and spoke twice. And he said, he goes, do you remember that teacher across the highway was so mad that you were here talking about these things? And I was like, do you remember the principal stopped me and said, I can't let you talk about Jesus and stuff like that? Well, he came back and said, not only did the principal get on them, but that teacher then started to I don't know if it's repent or whatever, but like started to change. The principal let me come in and speak and was the first one to give me a hug after saying, I can't let you talk about this. It was great. And the principal said, all the students need to hear this message. So it's like, this is why it's so important. Like, doesn't matter where you go, be you, be what God has told you, be what God's told you to be in that moment. Right.
And that's a really important lesson because we tend to think this message can't be in schools. And every talk I gave, I made sure to say, we're in schools. And and I had a couple of questions at the McFan where they were talking about, okay, education. How do you talk about being able to talk about this stuff and God and education? How do you do that? The beautiful part is quotes. Nobody can argue with the quotes. So we don't
100%.
We don't have to go in with the Bible and start reading scripture. All we have to do is start showing the quotes of the founders like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin and Samuel Adams and Madison and the other Adams. And like all of these guys have plenty of quotes that point to the Lord, which then it's history. Yeah. Let alone the fact that there is no separation of church and state.
Yeah.
But that's another time.
And those quotes open the door for you to preach the gospel.
Exactly.
Those quotes, every single time I get done doing quotes, it's like, what a perfect opportunity and segue for me to walk into the gospel and share the gospel with them.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did that night. We did the same message, one person. It takes one person, or the majority is you. I kind of changed it up a little bit because I didn't know where he wanted me to go. I kind of got it, but then we went out to dinner. Shane, Tim, their lovely wives. And I mean that. You two are so lovely, Lisa and Renee, just wonderful people. Seriously, just good, down to earth people. Love the Lord. They love liberty and freedom, and they're just good people, right? And so we were there, and I was kind of getting a gauge of where they wanted me to go. So I kind of added some slides, took out some slides, and was speaking to a room full of people who I think were just getting their feet wet. And I was like, how many are Christians? And everybody said Christian. I was like, run. So then I can use scripture. I can use the founders' quotes. I can use the foundation of our country and get them energized and activated. And it's like, this is on you now.
Yeah.
This is on you now. This isn't on anybody else. I could blame government, but we elect them. So it's like, there's all these things that happened that night. And I had such a blast doing that event. And, you know, when I was talking about William Wilberforce, I hate doing that story sometimes because I always get choked up, always. But it's like, if God could let him see the victory of what he fought for, what could he give us? That's a story that can be repeated. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
And in the 3 decades that it took Wilberforce
44 years
to succeed, right?
44 years, dude.
And in 3 days after the vote to abolish slavery, he died. And a lot of people, Lord, how could you do that? Could you imagine how much peace and rest he died with, finally knowing his job was done? I want you to think about when you have a really, really, really busy day, a very heavy day, a day that you are just working yourself to the bone, and you finally fall into bed. You're just like,
oh. Yeah, and we'll do that. I'll do a whole message on it. You know, what can one person do? And you know what we're going to do is a series. We're actually going to do a series of podcasts, and you and I have kind of talked about this. What can we do locally, statewide, federally, all those things? We're going to pull guys like Shane and all these guys, Julie McCarty from Texas, True Texas Project, pull them in and see what we can do with our communities locally, all that stuff. Just get ideas, kind of get a think tank going and see what God's calling you to do in these areas of politics. So that last event was amazing. And I think what I love about it is when people are they're tired of what they're seeing and they can see that it was the Spirit of God that prodded them. You know what I mean? Like, and inside of here, I'm like, Lord, they listened, you know, like they got it. They caught something, you know? And I think that's the coolest thing out of all these events is like either A, they get saved, B, they get convicted, C, they turn on and go, I'm going to do something now.
And I think that's something that we both noticed, especially on this tour. So we've been doing this for years, and it just feels, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels different. It feels
does.
like people
there's a buzz now.
Yeah, people are more willing to get active. And I'm not doing this as an insult, but during the Trump years, people got comfortable.
Yeah, and it's easy to.
It's easy to because your guy's in office. You feel like things are starting to go your way. Oh. We have to be vigilant.
Do you know why it's easy to get comfortable? Because you depend on him to fix everything.
Yes.
And that is not the way our government is set up. It's us that fixes things. He's our representative of us. He can't pass laws like that, what they've been doing for years. And that's what happens. We depend on one person to fix all of our problems. It's us that has to fix these things. It's us that have to resist ungodly government. It's us that have to resist unlawful edicts and all these other things. It's us that have to be peacefully resistant to it. You know what I mean? So it's on us. It's not on anybody else. It's on us to be the voice of God. It's on us to be the heart of the Lord out there. It's on us to go feed the poor. All these things that we talk about so many times, it's on the Christian. And so, you know, Carrie and I are going to talk hopefully next week on what it's like. And again, what can one person do? But like what ministry and the challenges of ministry, but like the fruit of ministry. That's why we wanted to do it last week. And we got shut down because of the weather. She's sick still and all that stuff. But can you go to that slide, buddy? The one with the kids? Why I'm going to talk about this is because it just impressed on me more that people don't know this, and I'm going to show them. Do you see the graphic right now? It's called our Torchbearer Society. What this is, it's a monthly sponsorship program, and you see some pictures there. Those I think it's Ohio, Michigan, and Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. Those are schools that we did. Those are places we've been to, and God opened the doors for. A couple of privates, a couple of public schools, a couple of private schools. I think in those pictures, but what our monthly support base covers us to do that. Why am I pitching this? And it's not even a pitch to me. This is what we need to continue to travel. Look, other groups go out and do what they do, and they have massive funding. They have backers. We don't have people backing us like businesses and stuff. We have like private businesses that support, but nothing corporate. It's literally been the people getting us to these kids. And so, look, can you go to the next slide after that?
And I know Richard's doing 10 things at once, so don't worry, it's Richard. And it's not lucrative to go to small groups. It's just not. And then I'm not saying, so look how good we are. No, what I'm saying is that's why larger organizations don't go to the small groups, because it's not lucrative or efficient for them to do it.
Exactly.
And to be honest, we've kind of bucked against voices who have told us, look, you got to stop doing these small events. That's where our heart is at. Yeah. And we'll figure it out, right? But that's why your support helps us stay going to those small events where there are 10, 15 people, 20 people, 50 people, because those people need it too, especially those kids.
Yeah. Right? A lot of groups can't afford, a lot of schools, if you can go back to that slide, a lot of schools can't afford what we're doing. And a lot of places can't afford what we're doing. That's totally fine. We'll do it ourselves. But you know what? We're not 20 anymore. I realized after this tour, we drove the 20 hours that it takes to do this. And, we did that years ago, and that's fun. But I'm 40 now. Things don't do, and I'm not as spry as I once was, and I'm not speaking death over myself. I'm speaking reality. The bottom line is, it costs money to do flights. It costs money to get rental cars. It costs money to do these things. We need your support. Look, you see that it says right there, become a torchbearer. If you can become a part of our Torchbearer Society, it builds a base for us to know what we need to go out and do what we need to do. That way we can keep putting on these events for kids for free. That way I can go to camps and do these things on the outside. I'll still do them if you support or not. I don't care.
Yeah,
God always makes a way. But he's also, I heard a line earlier at a fundraiser. He's like, we already got the money this year. It's just in your bank account, so we need your help. And so if you guys want to be a part of that, you guys can go to theselfevidenttruth.com. Sign up for monthly sponsorships and become a partner. Become a partner of what we're doing. You're sowing into good ground here. We're just doing this because God's called us to do it. And a lot of people will throw a bunch of stuff at you. No, look, I don't have anything that you would need. I mean, I could send you a coffee mug, but you probably got 1,000 of those with some really cool slogans. And I'll get you a coffee mug if you want one. If you want a shirt, I'll send you one. No, seriously, if you guys sign up for monthly support and you want a t-shirt, I'll send you one. Right? You want to sign up for what we're looking for is 100 people to sign up for $25 a month and 100 people to sign up for $50 a month right now. And if you want to be a business that supports us, call us. You guys can call 612-237-6798. You guys can be a part of what we're doing as a business. You guys can sponsor us on a quarterly basis or a project basis or a tour basis. We need those supports too, because sometimes it gets really tricky when we're trying to buy product and all these other things. And there's expenses that happen, man. There's tons. We got to get a new computer for our podcast because that one's old now. Yep. That's $1,000.
We need to update all of our equipment basically.
Yeah. And we're, we'll do it. We'll continue to do it. But guys, if you want to support us again, go to, I just put it at the top of the podcast. I'm sorry, the Facebook. And if you're listening to this on Apple iTunes, theselfevidenttruth.com, theselfevidenttruth.com. Click on monthly sponsorships, become a supporter, become a torchbearer. And you know what? Torchbearers light the way, but also torchbearers warn. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing. We're not only lighting the way, we're warning the people to say, look, there's a real danger here, but the Spirit of God can overcome this. And we're going to do this together in Jesus' name. There's so many projects we're doing in the works right now. And 2023 is going to be awesome. I know you're going to be working on a Constitution course to be released here in the fall. So that people can purchase and learn the Constitution, because Mike's the brainiac, and I keep praising him for that because that's the gift God gave him. So he's such a brainiac and such a smart dude that he has an English degree. So we already have that in-house where we can put this together concise and really good. And we'll be doing some more videos and things like that. We're coming out with so many things, but we just need the support. So if you guys can, please sign up.
And I want to take this moment that if you already are part of the Torchbearer Society, or you have donated, you've given, you've bought product, we just want to say thank you. And I really mean that. Thank you.
Look at that, dude.
On our tour, on our tour, thank you so much for donating, for supporting, for helping us fundraise. It means the world to us because it lets us continue to move one more step. And don't think we've forgotten about you. We love you guys, and we're just so thankful for the fact that you help us out.
Look at this. Shane Hernandez. Thank you, Shane. That's the kind of stuff. Golly, they want to sign up for monthly. Him and Renee. It's
thank you, Shane.
That's the kind of stuff that I'm saying. You can be a part of this and be a part of a change, be a part of a move. When I was there with Shane, Shane's such a principled guy that he doesn't listen to outside voices. He's very, very solid, very no, this is how this runs. And when I'm preaching, I can see where his lane is, and I can see where my lane is, and I can see where Tim's lane is, and we're exactly positioned where we're called to be. He needs to be that politics side. He knows how dirty it is in politics. He knows what it takes to get things passed. That's his lane to follow. You got Tim, who's the more spiritual side. Not that I'm saying, Shane, you're not, but I'm serious. I know where Shane has got the knowledge and the wherewithal to tell people this is how we need to do it locally. It's how we need to do it statewide. And so being there was such a cool thing because I can bring in something different to energize people and to get them motivated to go do something for their communities. And that's just one thing. Thank you, Shane. And thank you, Renee. She was such a sweetheart. She kept messaging us, if we needed anything, because Carrie was so sick. And just such warm hearts, man. Thank you guys so much for that.
So any comments to cover, or are we...
No, like I said, hopefully Carrie next week will be on with us. She just keep praying for her, guys. She experienced something we haven't been through in 12 years. It was a kind of a seizure type thing. And it just, not to get too deep in it, but just, we were under attack. I mean, it was real spiritual attack.
And that's what I was going to say is be praying for us, because Spiritual attack is happening. And Massey and I don't tend to really put too much focus on spiritual attack because it gets very easy for people to just focus on that.
Then there's a demon behind every doorknob,
exactly.
and we're not like that. But there's real stuff too.
It happens. Spiritual attack happens. So please be praying for us. Be praying for Carrie. Be praying for Massey, me, Richard, all of the Self-Evident staff, and just be praying that the ministry would go forward and that the people that need to hear it, and that the kids that need to be reached are reached, right? And be praying that the Lord will do with it what he wants to do. That's the biggest thing, is we just want to be faithful to what the Lord wants.
And God is so faithful to us. And guys, again, theselfevidenttruth.com. By the way, I didn't give them the slides, but you can also get like our new shirts. We got the new socialism ones out, guys. We're coming out with a new hoodie really soon. I'll let you in on this. It's going to be something that you all know the scripture to, and it's going to be such a cool design that I'm like excited for it. Like, and I created the socialism one. Carrie did the liberty one. We kind of make these on our own. We kind of outsource these things. And this one that I kind of devised and designed is going to get sent out to a professional. But like, just, we're so excited because like these messages stop people. Yeah. Carrie was in, I'll say this, she'll tell you next week. We were in a giant, you guys know the gas station Buc-ee's? It's huge, right? It's like a mall that's a gas station, right? She's walking through and she got stopped every 3-4 people. Hey, where'd you get that shirt? Hey, where'd you get that shirt? She had the Socialism Steals, Kills, Destroys shirt on. And she was able to open conversation and dialogue and tell people, look at the website in the back, you know? And it just like, it gets people to think. And like, you can purchase one of those shirts online as well. Do that. It supports us 100%. We're opening up a site called Printify, where you can order the different colors if you want. I mean, there's so many things going on. But again, theselfevidenttruth.com. Get on there, support our ministry. And I'm telling you, I'm not a prosperity. I've never done this before, prosperity stuff. But I know God will bless you. He just does, because you're faithful. So we appreciate all your support, prayers. We need more of your prayers and intercession. If you want to put us on your church prayer team, please do, because we're out there doing it.
Yep. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching tonight. Thank you for listening. Do not forget to share. Do not forget to tell people about it. Do not forget to comment. Do thumbs up, thumbs down. Just interact with us one way or another. We will be back next week. Most likely it will be Massey and Carrie, and talking about what can one person do. But until then, guys, we love you so much. We're so thankful that you're here with us. And keep fighting. Keep going. You can't stop. We won't either. So with that said, have a great night, guys. Love you. Take care.